Good evening, folks, and tonight on the stream we are going to take a first look for the stream at blueprint libraries, function libraries. Now, there are some of these in the background, but they're done in C++, okay, and it's mainly for the grid building stuff and getting positions under the cursor. So what we've done here is we've created a blueprint library, a function library, and because we are doing different things with we're doing different things with different displays. For example, the warehouse is a separate widget because it's a completely different setup, right? So let's have a look at that. So you'll see here that this is a completely separate thing, because basically on the left hand side, or actually just in this section, there is a list of products, okay? And similarly for the inventory. So what I have done is basically turn some of the functions that we need to turn the colors on our different display items in our function library so we can call them from anywhere, which means we can use them in any widget, right? So to kind of demonstrate this, what we're going to do is on our event construct, we're going to once again create a function called setup display items. Okay, and we're going to rename this. This is what we would normally consider to be the border, right? But it isn't a border in this particular widget. It is actually an image. So we're going to call it image background. Okay. And I'm going to show you what we can actually do with this now, hopefully. And this is on the warehouse. Okay. So what we've done is, in our colors, if I can remember where the heck I put it, not there. So where did I put this? Enum game mode, and we are actually looking for it's not EMM mode. Is it in options? Apparently it's in options. Okay, we have set these, but that's actually the wrong thing. Well, these are the right thing actually, but there's something slightly different about this. So in our function library, we set the image color. Okay, so in our warehouse we basically say set image color, and you'll notice that this is actually in the FE function library. Okay, and we have to pass in the controller, and we may actually have to end up changing this, but we'll find out. Yeah, we are. We're going to have to decide which color we give it. So this set image color is going to have to be set up as well. So we've got our return display color, right? But we need our set image color to also be in here. Okay, so this is going to be display color, or it's display item. Okay, and display item type. We've changed this now from the menu item because it's not really a menu item. Okay, so this is going to be return display color, and then this color, it goes in there. Okay, and we don't actually need the controller for this. So we push in the image, we get the color, we set the color, and that should be it. Okay, so in our warehouse, right, we set the color, and it's basically to info screen border. Okay, and then in our event construct, we basically set display items. Now we can put this further up the list if we want. It probably makes sense to put it here or before the build inventory. So let's just do that just now. Right, and I think I hit the button on the side there. So let's save that, and let's see where we are. And we have the building details blank. Okay, we've got this other issue here, and that's because that's no longer that, and that is no longer that, and this is the FE controller. So we get the player controller, get the player colors, and we actually plug this one into here. Okay, so in theory we could move all of these functions into our different into our function library, but we're going to test it out on the warehouse first to make sure that works. Okay. So the easiest way to test this out is to change the border color here to like a red. Okay. And now we can continue. And I have closed it. Oh, well, that was pretty quick considering. Right, so we can now look at this warehouse, and it should basically, the border should be red when we click it. And we just crashed it. Well, that was exciting. Well, that's a good start to the stream, crashing the whole thing. And it's building details. Okay, so well, building details, we haven't touched it for a while, so we might actually be okay. And it didn't seem like a big huge crash. Right, oh yeah, so it's this one, building details blank. Right, so we can delete that. We can delete that. Then we get player colors. And we go in here and we save that. It now appears to me that you'll notice that our thing here is we've no longer got this function. Right, so we need to redo it. So it's called set up display items. Right, and I'm guessing here our function library has basically been apparently it's been completely deleted. Right, okay. So I'm going to go into our autosaves and see if we've got a function library. And it doesn't look like we do, which is not a good thing. So for some reason our function library has disappeared. Well, that's awesome. Yep, we've lost our function library. Well, that's a bit of a bummer. Let me just make sure 100% here. Nope, I think it's safe to say we've lost our function library. Now, I don't know where it went. But there you go, we've lost it. So we're gonna have to recreate it, guys. fe underscore function library. Right, and the first function is going to be set image color. And the next one is going to be set text color. And the next one is going to be set button color. And then the last one is going to be return display item color. Okay. So in return display item color, we're going to have an input right, and it's going to be display item. Okay. That's if we can spell it properly. Right, there we go. Display item type. And then our output is going to be a linear, well, it's going to be color, isn't it? And it's going to be a linear color. Okay. So we're going to do that, then we're going to break that, we're going to compile that, we're going to save all, and I don't know why that suddenly became uncompiled, but if we now go into building details, we can actually copy this thing here. Right, so we can copy this, but the thing is, we need to pass in the controller. Right, so this needs a controller. Controller, and that's going to be fe controller. And finally, we need a local variable, and that's going to be temp color. and that's going to be a linear color. Okay, so bear with me guys while we set this up. We paste that in there, and that is all good. We can delete that. Then we do that, and we need to check FE controller, which is correct. We paste that in there. We grab all of that, hopefully, and we move it to there. Okay. So we save that, and we basically plug this in here. We delete that, and that's that. Okay. Now this basically means that these are going to require these two things as well, because when these call these things, when the setup text calls for the color, then we need to be able to tell it what the color is. Alright? So we need to basically pass through the controller. Okay? So we're doing the image color, right? So we'll do that first. So we're going to need two inputs here. One is the controller, which is correct. And the next one is display item. Right? So that's going to be display item. And then we're going to have to pass in an image. Right? And we probably want to move these around a little bit. And we'll have them in that order. Then with our image, we can basically set the brush tint color. Okay. And then we can return display item. Now we can make this pure if we want, doesn't really make any difference to us at this point, but we do that, we'll send in the controller, and we send in the display item, and we get a color out, and then we can basically not do anything there. Right, so we make a slate color and then plug the color straight in there. Okay, so that's that all done. And then if we go back to our right, hang on a second here. You'll notice this isn't compiled. I don't know why it's doing that, it's not compiled. If I set this, right, for all the new guys out there, right, what you can do is you can click here and save on compile, and you'll notice this has got never, but I usually have it on always, right? And that means that you don't need to like save all the time, compile and save. You just basically compile and it automatically saves it as well. So there's that. Just a little hint for you guys there if you didn't already know that. So now we can basically get our image, and we need to rename it, right? So we're going to say img background, save that, go into the code, then we drag this in, we get the image background, then we set image color, right? And we pass in the controller and we can set it to image screen border. Okay, compile that, save everything, and if we press play, then go to options, we can check the colors here. We've got red, okay, so that's okay. I'll tell you what, let's just make sure of this, right? We'll make it purple. Back, okay that, then we continue. Now, is it going to crash this time? That's the question. Add breakpoint. Well, it didn't crash, but it didn't set this either. But did we set it in the graph? The answer to that is no. So we can do that. And we can save all. We'll go back into here. We've got our breakpoint. And press play. And if we continue, let's see if this works, shall we? So we're in there. We can jump into here. We'll see if this I don't know why it's got this world context, but we'll not worry about that for now, unless this crashes. Well, apparently that's okay. And there we go. We have our purple. Right, so that's using the function library, okay, to return the colors, okay? So, with that in mind, and that all working rather nicely, what we'll do is, in the first instance, we'll go to our options, right, and we'll change the colours of this to be some wonky red, and then we'll have changed this to be some wonky green, so that we know that these are all different. Then we can do a back. Now we can't continue yet, we've got to exit, because what we've got to do here is set the text colour. Now the text colour so that's going to be text box, right? So text so it's this one, right? Then we need the controller. Well, actually, we need the display item, which is display item, and then we need the controller. And that's going to be FE controller. Okay, and the text box, we're going to be setting the color and opacity. Okay, and it's a slate color, so we make slate color kind of like before, right? And we go in here and it's return display item color, and we plug in our controller, we plug in here, then we plug in here, and then the color goes to here. We can save that. That's a bit weird how it didn't compile the first time but did the second time. It's a bit worrying, but we'll not worry about that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say set text color, and this is going to be in our FE function library. So we just pop that there, pop that there, then we get our text building name and we pop that in there. We get our controller and we pop that in there, and then we get our info screen text and we save that. Disable that. And the final one we need to do is the button. Okay, so this is going to be set button color, and you'll notice there's nothing there, and that's because we haven't set it up yet. So we go back into our function library, and we're going to kind of do this. So we copy that, right? Then we do that. Then we get that. We get that. And the target, this isn't actually a text, but we might do that. But what we need to do here is add one more, and this is going to be the button. Okay, so what we do is we say button. Then we can move it to the top. We can plug this in. And set is there a simple, I think there is a simple way of doing this. Color. Set color and opacity. Now we can check this Yeah, I think this is the right one because I think this just takes the colour straight in. Right, now the easiest way to check this, now I don't know why you need 2 compiles for that to work, but hey ho. Right. If we go to our options, right, we can check this. Right, and this is it here. So this is like set button style, and this is it here. Right, so we just basically hit color and opacity. So that means that our function library is correct. Now, if there's any other type of widget that we want to do this with, then all we need to actually do is basically create one of these for that type of thing. So we've got image, we've got text, we've got a button. We probably want to do it for a border, right? So let's in fact do that. So we can say set border color, okay, and those are going to have the same 3 things, except this is going to be our border, and that's going to be border, and this is going to be again our display item, which is going to be display item type, and this is going to be our controller, and that's going to be FE controller. Okay, and we set this up basically the same. We say border we say color set brush color, and this is a color structure, so that's okay. And then what we do with this is return display color, we plug that in there, we plug this in here, then we plug our color in here, we compile that. Okay, so in our warehouse we've got our button. Okay, so what we can do is we can duplicate this. In fact, let's just do this properly. Let's delete those 2. We shall plug that directly into there. Then we shall plug that into there. Then we shall straighten to reroute node, and we shall straighten to reroute node. Okay, and we have our button close, and that is our button. And the final thing we need to do is to change this to our info screen close button. We can save that, and that should be us. We should be able to run this and see all the wonky colours that I've selected. let me do something first before we do this. Let me do a save all. Not that that appears to help us much, but anyway. So we can do that, and once this becomes active, our other menu is working fine. As you can see, and bingo, and green. But that's actually not what we want, right? So we need to find out in here, when we set the button style, what we actually set here. Right, okay, it's a set style. So we copy that, we go back to our function library, and we're not setting the border, we're setting the button, okay? So we paste this in here, we join the color up to here, we delete this, okay, and then we set style, okay, then we move this right over there so that we can basically do that, then we can do that and that. Then we can do that. Okay. Now the interesting thing is here. Yeah, we're doing it. Yeah, that's okay. Or is it? Let's try it. Yeah, that kind of doesn't work, does it? Kind of doesn't work. Now, I don't know why that is. Now, it is making it green, but it shouldn't be all of these. Right? So I'm not sure if that actually works in let me check that, okay? I'm not convinced that this is actually right in either of these. Well, apparently it is. Right, but I'm still not convinced. Should it be this? An interesting question, of course. Let me just check this out. That is the button close. Right, so it actually should be this. Although, it doesn't sound right. Yeah, it is. It is. This is just setting the button to not change when we actually go in the options. It should actually be this, right? So we need to go back to our function library. And this is color and opacity. Okay. So we can delete that. And this color actually goes in here. And this can basically go away. And we'll see how that goes, shall we? I think it's just because of the... Yeah. Okay, whatever. We'll leave it like that. Okay. So... I shouldn't have done that, but anyway. Right, so what we'll do is we shall launch our probes. Right, and then we're going to do a miner or a refiner, and we're going to make sure that these work correctly. Okay, so you can see that's working nicely. That's good. That's all working beautifully. I'm not expecting the miner to work, but it did, and that's a very beautiful thing as well. So what we actually need to do here, right, is check the building details, right, because this one is working absolutely 100% correctly. So it's setting the buttons correctly, right, and there we go. Okay. And this is what we need to actually put in. Yeah, that wasn't making much sense to me, to be honest, this part here. So we actually do set style. Right? And then what we do is we paste this in. Right, and our button actually goes in there. We delete that. And then our color goes in here. We can delete that. And then our button style can go in here. Okay, so that looks better now to me. That should work a lot better. That's for our warehouse as an example. So it's working for our miner. The only one now we need to do now is the inventory. Right? Now, we could split up the inventory. Or we could not split up the inventory. There we go. That's better. That's more like it. Look at that. It's a lovely thing. So, what we're going to do next is we're going to check the inventory, and then we shall work on our two new ones, which is the scroll box, right? And I'll show you that. But first of all, I'll show you that when I come back from having a cigarette. Okay, I shall be back shortly. Okay, we're back, and the dog thinks that his mum is back, but she's not. So I might have to turn the mic off here because he's going to get a bit excited with himself. But anyway, so what we could actually do in this case is, certainly we can do that, and then we can bring these up a bit. Not that it's given us a heck of a lot of difference, but a little bit, I suppose. Can bring that to there, drag that down, then pull that up, and hang on a second guys, turn the mic off, back in a minute. Okay guys, we're back. Now the whole point of this is basically so that we can put this into all of our things. So in our building details we can actually replace a lot of this stuff. Okay, so this set up display colors basically becomes the border, right? So it's actually the image, right? So in our building details we can come back into here, we can pull in our image, and we can say set image color. Okay, and then in here we can add an input. Now, do we have a reference to the controller? Yes, we do. So in fact we won't bother with that parameter. Right, so we shall just remove it again, and we shall pull our controller in, and this is going to be info screen border, which isn't actually a border, but we'll not worry about that too much for now. So this will go in here, then in our text, this is the text building name, we're going to set text color in the function library. We're going to push that out, we're going to delete that, then this is going to be an info screen text, and we're going to do what we did before. Okay, and then on our button close we're going to say set button color from our FE library. Then we're going to delete that. I'm going to put that here. We're going to connect that up. We're going to see button closed. Then we're going to do that. We're going to do that. Then we're going to do that, and we're going to connect that up to there. Then we are going to do our straighten to reroute node, and once again our straighten to reroute node, and there we go. Okay, so these are now all working off the same code, which is in our function library, and we can use this function library for absolutely everything. Okay, so we can save everything there, and we shall just check it now. If we go to continue and we build a building, Okay, and we can also do our miner. Okay, and there we go. Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Now what we could add to this is the text as well, right? So we could have like the title text and normal text. Okay. Now whether we're going to do something with the workers, I would imagine so, but there is our code working for the miner as well. Exactly the same. And for the warehouse, there you go. Perfect. So that's all working really nicely. Now the other ones we need to do is this one, the inventory. Okay. Now we could do the inventory exactly the same. In fact, we probably should. We probably should. So if we stop that and then we go to our game, then inventory, and then we go to our inventory main, here we go, right? We can go to graph, and then on our event construct, right, we can basically create a function in here, and it's going to be set up display colors. Okay, and then in here we have the image. So once again we do that, then we set image color. Okay, then we do a set text color, and then we do a set button color. Okay, and for this one we do screen border, text, button. Okay, we drag in our control, get that, drag it in, then we drag this over here as before, and we kind of made a mess of that, so we're going to have to do this anyway, but we straighten that, then we straighten that, and the next thing we do is we get the building name, plug it in there, then we get the button close and plug it in there, and that's it. That's it done. Then we drag this in here, set up display colors, and we are good to go. So continue that, and I can immediately test it, and there we go. Beautiful. Beautiful indeed. Okay, that is the inventory done, and now I shouldn't have done that, but from there we can press continue, and we have this one here as well. Now this one's going to be slightly different because we have two buttons, but otherwise pretty much the same, to be honest. Well, we've got these buttons here which we're going to have to do something about, but it's going to be kind of the same. So I'm going to do that sort of boring stuff off screen. So if you've enjoyed watching, hit the subscribe button, check out the description for Discord, Patreon and previous game on Steam, and I shall catch you tomorrow afternoon at 2 PM Central. Bye bye for now.